Boom, and we are back at it again, starting the number 4 podcast here, the Adonis Gang podcast. Right now we only me and David, but that's my guy, that's my main guy. So we're gonna carry this podcast no matter what, no matter how many guys is in here. We're always gonna be here. So let's just get into it. We have a lot of fun stuff to talk about since we missed
Yes.
the last one, right? So yeah. Do you want to start? Because I know you have a lot of questions.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I'm gonna start right now. I'm so excited about this. So, if there was an elderly woman and a child in a burning building, and you could only save one, who would you rather save? It's
Yes.
kind of a tough one.
So we don't know the people, right?
No, you do not know the people. You just know that there's a elderly woman and a child in a burning building. That's all the information that you're given.
Yeah. So my thought process is obviously elderly woman probably has 10 to 30 years max, and a child obviously has the entire life in front of him or her. So that's like a very easy choice for me personally. It's gonna be the child. Obviously, it could go bad too. Like you can save some like the future, like some crazy guy who's gonna wreak havoc on the world or something. But you never know. So yeah, I don't know. I think I'll always choose the younger person. Like if I don't know who they are and what they have done.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good decision as well. And that's what I was gonna say myself is that I would save the child because the child has got his whole life, his or her whole life ahead of them. And I kind of feel bad though because when I think of elderly people, I think that they're so cute and
Yeah,
innocent and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, when it comes down to it, that child has got their whole life ahead of them, and the elderly person, as wise as they are, as much profundity as they have, they're gonna die eventually. I know that
yeah,
sounds quite mean of me to say, but they're gonna die soon. So I'll save the child because they've got
yeah,
the whole life ahead of them.
yeah. I mean, I think if you would ask, like, obviously, kids are a bit narcissistic, like naturally a little bit more narcissistic. So if you asked the two, I think they would agree too that it's gonna be the kid, right? Because the elderly person would be like, I'm going soon anyways. Like, ever had a long good life. Um, Obviously, it's a bit sad. Um, Especially if it's the situation where they've worked their entire life to just die in a fire. Like it's a bit sad, right? But obviously, like the
Yeah,
child,
it's sad.
yeah, the child gotta have like a chance to live its life.
Yeah, that's true. It makes me feel kind of bad now for saying that, like, I'm a villain, sort of
Yeah.
thing. I'm the villain, David the villain, for saying something like that. I'm gonna get cancelled.
Are you sick?
Yeah, I am quite
Yeah.
sick at the moment. I've got a bit of a cold,
Damn.
but we're pushing through. We're pushing through it. We
Yeah.
got to do this.
That only
Yes.
only makes you stronger, right? That's how it works.
Yeah. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yeah, it's actually
Yes,
true.
it is. Have
So
you got any questions, Carl?
I do, but we just spoke a little bit before we started the podcast, and we have like a main topic. I think like we have a lot of things to talk about surrounding this topic of romance and love and those sort of things,
Oh,
like
yes,
cold
yes, yes, I
approaching dating.
remember. Yeah, I remember. I remember. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you want to start with your story?
Okay, so so not it's not starting off with the question, just the story, yeah?
Yeah.
Or starting off the question. Okay, so I was I had an interest in a girl from my college and I was messaging her, I really got excited at first and I was really happy and I was messaging her. She was interested and I vibed with her. And so we were messaging each other back and forth and then slowly and gradually and progressively she stopped texting me. She stopped texting me. She completely ghosted me, and I do not know why she did this, but somewhere along the lines, I think she started to lose interest, and I was starting to overthink things like what did I say? Did I do something wrong? Was I mean to her? and I couldn't get out of that negative that thought cycle. So one of my questions to get a better understanding of this is why do women start ignoring guys before or after the first date? And she started ignoring me after our first date. So yeah, never heard back from her since.
Damn.
So why do you
So
think?
I mean, we could that could be like so many reasons, right? So if you want to, of course, we could try to like dive into your specific situation. Maybe we can learn something, figure it out together, what happened, what went wrong, if you want to.
Yeah, sure, let's do that. As painful as that sounds, open up those can of worms.
Yeah, we gotta get through it, man. I think that's the best way
Yeah,
to get like past it or like get through it, right? It's gonna like extract every like lesson or all the knowledge you can from the situation. So at least you got some kind of clarity and some knowledge from the situation, and not only the sucky stuff of being left on red. Yeah, that's not nice. That is not nice. So let's say you started texting, right? So you met her at like class or something.
so I met her outside of class.
Okay.
Yeah,
And then
yeah, I met her outside of class.
what you
Yes.
started texting? What happened?
So I met her outside of class and we were chatting, and this was one of the first girls from our college that I vibed with, and so I was thinking, oh, okay, I kind of like this girl. She cute, she's cute. And then a couple days afterwards, I asked for her Snapchat. So I was building up the confidence and the courage. I was like, right, let's pick up some balls now. Let's get our balls and let's get some courage and ask for her Snapchat. And so I asked for her Snapchat, and then from then we started texting each other. I started sending her funny stuff and just voice messages and other things like that. And yeah, at first she was interested, like really interested. Um, yeah, she was sending me voice messages, and I could tell, like, from her tone, she was really interested, like laughing, giggling, and then just gradually she started to lose the interest, and then I got that bombshell. After the first date, she started ignoring me, like no more messages after that, and I was like, "Oh, what have I done? What have I done?" I was trying to scroll up at the messages, see where I went wrong, see like if I said something wrong to her that maybe offended her or what, like what did I do?
So what you did
So
text back and forth a few times after the date, or what?
no, not after the date. So I tried to text her after the date, and then after that she started ignoring me, started ghosting me.
Okay. So it's not
Yeah.
probably not something you said over text. It got to be something that happened on the day, right? I'm assuming.
Well, so I don't know really. I don't know because I think I don't really know to be honest.
Hmm. What happened? What did you guys do?
So I was a real gentleman on the date. I I bought her coffee. We were chatting for at least an hour, and yeah, we were having a real chat about our interests, and I was making her laugh, and yeah, I was just a real gentleman. She didn't want to drink coffee from the cup, so I got her a little straw. Um, yeah, I think the thing that I messed up on, I'm not gonna lie here. I did mess up on the date. The thing that I did was I took her to a coffee shop, and she didn't specifically like coffee, but I suggested that we could have teas. But she wanted a coffee, so I got her a coffee, and she didn't really like it that much, and yeah, I messed up. That's the thing that I messed up on. But apart from that, everything else went well, I
I
would
mean,
say.
I doubt that matters that much, right? I mean, I don't think that's like the deal breaker. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, hmm, it's kind of hard to do, right? Because we weren't there, so it's kind of hard to know. Maybe it isn't you. Like it could just be her situation, right? Like the kind of thing where a lot of guys would think, let's make like a hypothetical situation, right? You had a very great date, and you feel like both of you want to like go home to your place, right? But then she like says no and she gets all like flaky and she doesn't want to like continue the date. It could be she's not feeling you, or it could just be she's like on her period, right? That like you don't know. You don't know. There could be so many things, and a lot of times it's not you, it's like her situation, right? So you can't really
Yeah.
just you don't know at the end of the day. It could be many things. Could be you. Could be her. Could be some other third thing, right? Maybe you're just unlucky, and her ex-boyfriend Tyrone just texted her like on the date. Who knows? Like you don't know, and she's going back to her toxic boyfriend. Who knows? Um, yeah,
Yeah, there could be so many reasons. There could be so many factors as to what could contribute to this. And I think primarily I I was kind of beating myself up for it. I was beating myself up because I thought that, that this is me, it's all down to me, like I must have done something wrong, something like that. And yeah, so the things that you can't control in life are other people. You can't control what's going to happen tomorrow. You can't control what the weather's going to be like, but what you can control is how you perceive things, is how you choose to ultimately perceive things, and just how you choose to think of things. So I was thinking of that situation very negatively, and therefore I was in a downward spiral, which consisted of me um, thinking negatively of myself, and that kind of deteriorated my mental health for a couple of days. So instead of thinking of that in a negative way, I could think of, oh, okay, that's a learning experience. That's a learning experience. So I could potentially learn how to communicate better with women, or I could I could look smacks, or I could do all of these things so that I don't run into that same situation again, so that I don't run into that same awkward situation again.
yeah,
And failure is kind of like a good thing in a way, because it gives you a chance to realize what you can improve on, what you can rectify. So it's not necessarily always a bad thing. So now that I look back on that, I think it was a good thing that happened to me, because it's better that happened then than for it to, than for us to get in a relationship 5 years down the line and then she starts doing this to me when I'm really close to her. So I think it's better that it happened before I got too close to the girl and then she leaves me heartbroken. So yeah.
I got a lot of things to say, and I also got some questions. So let's start off with
Yeah.
I want to say it's a huge W alone. Like a lot of things you did right. Like the first W is you actually went over, talked to her, asked for a snap. You got the snap, then you got the date. You set up the date, and I think like the whole idea, like of course, like her not liking coffee is a bit of a bit unlucky, right? Most people like coffee, but I think the idea is pretty good. It's like a solid date, first date, right? You don't like invest too much because that's something you can do. Like if you show up on the date giving her flowers and give her this expensive like date, and she's gonna feel like if you turn it around, what how would you feel if she came with like a gift and pays like a expensive dinner and shit, like, and you haven't done anything? You're gonna be like, what is going on here? Like we don't even know each other, right? So I think you did a lot of things right. um
Yeah.
and I think like having the mindset that it's like practice, like just doing it, practicing, and learning to get out of your comfort zone. I imagine it was getting out of your comfort zone, right? Especially like setting up, like unknowing, like does she feel me or not? Like the whole process of like asking her out and asking for her Snapchat, even, right? So you did get some good things. What was my question? I forgot it now. I think. Damn, that sucks. Oh yeah, my question was if she texts you back now. I don't know how many days it's been like without any communication, but if she texts you back, like let's say tomorrow, what you gonna do?
What would I do? Oh, that's a very interesting one.
Yeah,
So I'm going to sound a bit petty saying this, but I don't think I'd be interested anymore. I don't think I'd be interested after that, because if a woman's going to play mind games with me like that and ignore me, then sorry, I'm not really going to respond. I'm not really going to be interested in you. I can't. I know that women like to play hard. They like to play hard to get, right? Is that the right saying? They like
yeah,
to play hard to get.
yeah,
Yeah, they like to play hard to get, and I mean, I don't. The thing is, I am gonna chase the woman, but if she is going to just play these mind games, like constant, like put obstacles in front of me, getting in the way of trying to get to her, then I'm not gonna really be receptive to that. I'm not gonna reciprocate. So after all that time, let's say she replied back to me within like 2 weeks or so, be like, yeah, you're out the door. You're out the door. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's the right mindset. I mean, playing games is like very common, and I think everybody, like young people, does it nowadays. And it's actually something I've experienced like very recently too. But with me, like getting used to, because this girl, I went on 2 dates with her now, and she's like very wholesome, not toxic whatsoever, like just so innocent. And I come from a background, not at home, but like other girls I've been texting, especially like I had to learn because I came from a healthy place, not any toxic relationships. My parents are amazing, very wholesome background. And I kind of had to figure out how to like learn these mind games, like waiting 5 minutes before you text back, all this fucking bullshit, right? And I was doing this with her, and she was like, just I could answer like 5 hours later, and like instantly she's gonna be back texting me like in a second. And I was like, I almost ruined it for myself because I tried to play these games that I thought I had to do. Like, so I think you just gotta like fuck the mind games, be you, like do what you want to do. And if that doesn't work out, obviously the girl like is toxic, and that's not gonna be anyone you want to date. Seriously, I think that's the thing.
Yeah, that is the thing. That's true. I was watching a Hamza video about there are there are different types of attachment. So there's anxious attachment. There's some type of attachment called, I think it's distant attachment, right? So anxious attachment is where you get really obsessive and you get really close to somebody and you're kind of like fearful of that of abandonment. And then distant attachment is where a female should rather prefer it if you were to just not text her as much, because what I find is that, well, what Hamza said is that a girl who was brought up in a broken home, when she's around parents who they show like a bad role model to the girl, then she's gonna have problems later on in life. So if she has that blueprint of a bad family dynamic between her parents, and all she sees the parents doing is fighting constantly, then obviously she's gonna grow up with all of these beliefs in her mind, and then she's gonna want she's gonna attract a boyfriend who's gonna treat her like shit. Basically, that's what she's gonna ultimately attract, and therefore she will want her boyfriend to text her less, because that's what she will be interested to, because that's all she's used to in the past, because she's seen this play out with her parents. And so I feel like, depending on what type of love that you've received in the past, or what you've witnessed in the past with your parents, or just in general, that's going to ultimately change your perception of love in a way. And so if like if you have, yeah, if you've seen that dynamic, then it's going to be hard for you to get close to somebody, to get close to a real gentleman.
Yeah,
So you're just going to attract guys that treat you like shit.
yeah. I mean, I think it's like if you're on self improvement, right, and you're trying to fix, like maybe you had a bad upbringing and you have some toxic traits, you're obviously working on them, trying to fix them. And I don't think you should just give in to like the toxic mind games and stuff just because you like a girl or think she's beautiful. Like, it's just gonna be bad overall. It's gonna be very bad. And just think about it, like, if like nobody wants like a toxic relationship or like a build a relationship on mind games, like it's obviously not gonna go as you want it to, right? Like, yeah, at least if you have the mindset of like dating seriously and long term relationships, that's just a no go. Even though it's very hard to find people who actually doesn't do these things, because I think even like in my case, even like healthy people start doing these things because it's learned, it's taught, like in red pill you're taught to do these things. yeah, like you're taught to be dismissive or whatever it's called. Like you're taught to not text instantly back, like wait a few seconds. You're taught to like act disinterested, like yeah, just you're not allowed to show how you feel. And I do agree with at like can agree, because if you're just like all in from the get go and you're just like you don't want to be clingy, obviously that's like a turn off, but you also shouldn't play mind games. I don't agree with that at all. So yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I find that to be true. I find that to be true because a lot of the time you are taught to play mind games when you're on self-improvement. Like you're taught to do all of these tactics so that you can get the woman to be more infatuated, to be more fixated on the guy. And it somewhat does work in a way, but at the same time, you're going to be sacrificing your morals as a person. You're going to be sacrificing the good morals that that were instilled onto you, assuming um, that you were taught these things by your parents, and so yeah, it's sad really
And not only
that
that,
that
like if you, because they do work, they do really work on most people, right? And I know this from past
mm,
experience, like does work, but the thing is, you got to keep it up, right? And that's another thing that could have maybe gone wrong on your date. I don't know the specifics, right? But a lot of guys like are very confident over text, maybe, or very funny. They have a like specific character over text. Maybe it's funny, confidence. Maybe they're like very sexual and know how to do that like whole thing on text. But then when they show up in real life, they're like a completely different person, right? That's gonna fuck up her mind and like not be safe around you. She's gonna feel um, like you're
mm,
playing a character over text, and that's really just instant turn off, and it's not gonna make her feel safe. And I think that's one of the most important things, like game wise, is just making her feel safe. And that's also why a lot of people talk about being like the father figure or the big brother or something like that. Like making her feel safe is very important, and like being split up in two completely different personalities
mm,
over text and over like in person is something a lot of guys do wrong. So it's much better to just be yourself, even though it's like very cliche and a lot of guys hate on that. It is the truth. Be yourself, or at least be so fucking good at acting as a character that you can do it in real life as good as you can do in text. Because otherwise, it's not gonna work out. But yeah, like if
no,
you build a relationship on like mind games and toxic traits that aren't really like you, like to your core, eventually you're gonna like slip up and become yourself, and then the relationship is gonna end because again you change from who she thought you were.
yeah, and it's the character which she truly loved, basically.
Yeah.
And when she sees you, and when she sees you being yourself, she's gonna get turned off by that because she was so used to the character which you were portraying to her, basically. And I think I think a lot of the time, guys, when they're first going on to dating, they tend to play this nice guy kind of character. They tend to like shower the girl in praises and compliments, and that is what somewhat makes a guy unattractive to a girl because you do need to have humor, you do need to be kind and polite to a girl, but they also do like the humor, like they do like the banter. They like the dark humored jokes. They like it sometimes when you insult them in a way.
Mm.
But obviously it has to be humorous. It's not to the point where it's gonna hurt their feelings. Obviously they're gonna know it's a joke.
Yeah, you gotta do the
But
push pull.
yeah, the push pull. Yeah. So you gotta compliment them, then you gotta be a bit harsh. Compliment them, be a bit harsh. So it's gotta have that dynamic to it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've made a lot of shorts. I'm no expert on this like subject, but I do feel like I got a natural kind of gift for this, because this is just something I've been doing like for ages, and I even do like push pull with my friends, like no homo, but that's just my personality, right? Like I fuck around and I like put like if you're watching me outside, you're gonna think like I'm hating on them or like bullying them, but I'm really not. I'm just very playful, and I like to tease people. Like I'm a very big troll inside, so I let that out. Like kind of like the annoying little brother sometimes. Like I just, but at the same time, I do it with so much love and like compassion, and I also mix in a lot of like compliments and these kind of things. So it's like they're getting kind of teased a bit, and you got to do it in a way like you obviously don't want to tease somebody with something they're like insecure about. That's just gonna, that's bad, that's very bad. But you gotta like tease them about like small stuff or like weird stuff, like just, I don't know how to explain it. You don't want to offend her, but at the same time you can't be like very scared. You can't be, you gotta disagree. Like I made a short about this again also. You gotta be like not afraid to disagree. You can't be afraid to be yourself. You can't be afraid to tease a little bit. You gotta do these things because at the end of the day it's another human being. And if you're just like all scared the entire day and you try to be perfect, like that's just gonna be boring. Like super just fucking boring.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be so boring to that girl because she's just going to think of you as this nice guy, and she's going to think, oh, he's fucking boring. He's not a challenge for me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, because when you don't implement that, the push pull technique, the girl's just going to think that you're a pushover. She's going to think of you as a low testosterone, low status man, and it's the high status man. It's the chads who they implement a push pull technique. They insult the girls, but in the best way possible. But like they think it's a joke, obviously, in a banter way. So they're not obviously going up to girls saying, "Oh, you're a fat bitch" or something like that. They're gonna find something to joke about, which obviously the girl would know that it's a joke. Like if the girl knows that she's attractive and the guy says to her that, "Oh, you look like a dog" or something like that, obviously the girl's going to take, I don't know how she'll take it, but most likely she will take it as a joke because she knows that she's a stunning, drop dead gorgeous woman. And for a guy to say something like that, it's very humorous for the girls to take that. So I think that is what's going to help build that connection, that spark.
Yeah. There's
And
so many
it's not
things.
always Yeah. It's
There's,
not always about like asking them mediocre questions like, "Oh, how was your day? How was this?" and so on and so forth. It's about having banter. It's about just yeah, it's about having banter
yeah.
and just having that joke.
Like what you got to do on the first date is just not be so serious. You can ask serious questions. This is what I did. Like I don't do any like bullshit like basic small talk questions. I do very deep questions, but at the same time you gotta constantly have her in a state of like play, like playful. So you can't be too serious and you can't be too mundane and boring. You can do a lot of things. Like you can do the push pull. You can do the opposite, like reverse pedestalizing. So make her act like you think she is pedestalizing you. So maybe it's like a very attractive girl, right? And she says something, she kind of implies you're good looking, like, oh, you're strong or something. You like overdo that. You're gonna like tease her about, like, okay, don't be like, don't come on too strong on me. Like, I don't even know you yet. Like, who are you? Like, can I even trust you? Like, I know I'm good looking, but like, chill down, like, calm down. You can do these kind of things.
Yeah.
You can also oh yeah, one thing I wanted to say before I forget it again. Like that, it seems like there's kind of two categories. There's like the actual simps that are just nice guys and pushovers, and then they are like the reformed guys that tried the gentleman kind of stuff, but they had no like. If you're very gentleman like, but a beta male or whatever you want to call it, like a low testosterone guy, a pushover, it's not gonna work at all. But if you are like the masculine guy with the gentleman kind of stuff, you can like, it's very good. It's very good. So you gotta be confident in yourself. And a lot of guys don't do gentleman kind of stuff because they're scared of looking like a simp. It's not gonna look like a simp. Like on my first date, I opened the car door for her. She liked that, but that's also because all around I am a very kind of masculine kind of guy. in my essence. Like I'm a bit tall, I'm a bit broader. Like also you gotta, it's how to explain this. You kind of have different rule books depending on what you look like and what your personality is like. If you're super like hyper masculine, you gotta be more playful and gentleman-like and maybe a little bit kind of feminine with your jokes or your personality. And if you look like very feminine, you're maybe very skinny, maybe a bit shorter. You gotta be more masculine in your frame and like in your personality. You kind of gotta balance it out. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I do. Yeah, that's true. Because I was watching this video. I think is it week? Um, there was a YouTuber. I can't remember the channel name now. But there was this video where it talks about specifically a man having that balance there of not being too, um, not being too, I think, overconfident or too like serious, and then you don't want to be too like nice. You want to have that not being too warm and not being so dominant or yeah, something like that. Because if you're too if you're too much of one thing, it's not going to be good. So if you're too much of a nice guy, too warm and positive, then people are going to associate you as a pushover. But if you're showing like Chad masculine energy, like I suppose too much of it, like if you're like not even showing emotion, like like
Like
that all
Macho
the
Man.
time, yeah, like macho man, like like that, then it's gonna scare people away and they're not gonna want to approach you. So I suppose you do need to have that balance there when it comes to that certain particular aspect of your life.
Yeah.
Or yeah.
You gotta be nice. You gotta be a gentleman, but at the same time, she can't be confused whether or not like you are masculine or whether or not like you can protect her and all these kind of stuff. She gotta intrinsically know that this guy can protect me. At the same time, this guy can fuck me up if he had to. Like I can't be an absolute bitch. Not that you're going to, but she gotta know that. She gotta know like you are superior, like physically and stuff like that. Um, and at the same time, be nice, be a gentleman, be sweet, be kind, all this stuff. And that's what I kind of meant with me. There's no doubt in her mind that I can like obviously superior physically to her. I can protect her, all this kind of stuff. And I do
Yeah.
look like I have the we talked about the I have the resting bitch like mad face. I look very scary, so I gotta like be over positive and happy and playful, and that's works out perfectly for me because that is how my personality is. Like I'm the friendly giant or whatever you want to call it, right? So on my outside I'm very masculine and very dominant, and then on my inside I'm very sweet and positive. And you gotta like play around, figure out what works for you, and it does depend on what you look like. Yeah, you can do many things, but one thing you can't do on a date is just be boring. Like make her feel sad, happy, anxious, whatever it is, just not boring. Like that's the worst thing you can do.
Yeah, it's by stimulating that roller coaster of emotions in her mind, basically, that's going to get her fixated on you. So
Yeah.
one moment you make her feel happy, the next moment you make her feel sad, or you make her feel like shit, and then constantly you're going through this wheel of emotions, basically, and then she'll start to associate you as that, oh, that guy, he's making me feel like a certain type of way. Like that's ultimately how they're going to start thinking about you even more and obsessing over you is the fact that you get them to feel a certain way and they can't predict your next move basically, and that's what differentiates you from the normal type of mediocre guys who only know how to compliment a woman and don't know how to do anything else. So as toxic as it sounds, I think in a relationship it is a good thing to have fights, it's a good thing to have arguments and so on and so forth, because ultimately it's a way that you're going to build that connection with her, because if she only associates you with just one thing for the fact that you're a nice gentleman, you know how to open the door, you know how to compliment her, you know how to cook and make her food, if that's the only thing that you can do, then it's gonna come from a very boring place. It's gonna be a very boring relationship to be in if you're not constantly putting that woman in suspense, like, oh, what is he gonna do next, sort
Mm.
of thing. What's he gonna do next? I
Yeah,
wonder.
that's true. And also, she's gonna. That's another topic I kind of want to talk about, or just touch on a little bit, because I've never really like I've heard about them, but I couldn't remember on any of these. They're called shit tests, right? So pretty much it's just the girl saying something, and depending on how you take that, maybe she could say something bad, like trash talk you in a kind of way, um, do something, and you gotta react the right way, otherwise she's like gonna be turned off by you. So I experienced
Oh,
this for the first time in a long time, where I actually like consciously like knew like, okay, this is a shit test, right? um so yeah, you gotta look out for them and know how to pass the test, I guess. Yeah, pass the test.
yeah, pass the test. Yeah, pass the test because women, as much as we love them, they can be manipulators at times, and they exploit our weaknesses. They try and test us to see if we're willing to be with them, if we're willing to be their man, basically. So they have to put us through all of these tests to see if we're worthy of being in their lives, basically. So they constantly put us in these tests, and yeah, we just have to be strong as men, and we have to look out for these signs. So
Yeah, we're a
yeah.
lot more direct, like vetting a girl. So I obviously just texted her straight up, like, how is your romantic like background? What is your body count? What is da, and just checking off like the checklist. And women doesn't really, they can do that, but most of the time it's a bit more like subconscious. That is just something they naturally do. They don't have any evil intent. That's just how their mind is like programmed. Like they just automatically do it subconsciously. Like shit testing, and they shit test you to just know that you're gonna be like a good partner. Like shit testing your personality to know like you're strong. Like if this guy takes offense to my little joke, he's a pussy, he's a pushover, he can't be my husband, he can't be my the man of my children, stuff like that, right? Or the father of my children. So they do it to just reassure that you are the person they think you are, pretty much. um, do you have any good examples of like shit test? Maybe she put you through, that girl, or someone else.
Oh, okay. So I do have an example, but it's not with my girl. It's with somebody else. And now I know that this person is going to be watching this video, so I don't want to call them out basically and say, "Yo, it's you who said this." No. So I know in a particular relationship that this woman was constantly just trying to look for a fight with this man to try and test his patience, to try and see how long he can go without totally just going and arguing back with her. So what this woman was doing was she was trying to test this man to try and test his patience, to try and see how masculine he is as a guy, like how stoic he is as a guy, because a stoic man doesn't react to situations like that in a really emotional way. They would be calm and rational about things like that, like an argument. And so this particular woman, she was going at him like a dog, barking at him, but not literally, but just going really wild, 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 wild. And um, within the first couple of minutes, or yeah, within the first couple of minutes, the guy he wasn't really answering back. He wasn't answering back. He was calm about it. But then she kept doing it repetitively throughout days on end. And eventually the guy did lose his cool. He did lose his cool. So he sort of lost the test in a way.
Yeah,
And they're still in the relationship together. So
yeah, that's another thing.
yeah.
It's not only like in the dating phase, it's the rest of your life she's gonna do this, like constantly just making sure you're like everything is the way it's supposed to be, right? And it
Yeah.
can be a lot of things. It can be a bit annoying. I can give you an example I had on my second date. Um, we were lying right here on this bed, and she was taking up a lot of space, and I actually wasn't at that specific moment. And she was like you're taking the entire, what is that called in English? Like you're taking up all of the space in the bed, like kind of in an annoyed way, right? And I was just like, what are you gonna do about it, kind of way. Um, like you just gotta learn to live with it, right? And then she got all giggly, like she was trying to test me, am I gonna do, like, cause we were having like a nice time, being all sweet together, and then like she just turned like cold instantly and just did that, so kind of test me, I think. And I was just like indifferent about it, like, okay, that's your problem, it sounds like a you problem to me, right? And she like, and then she said, then her response to my passing the test was just, but I like it, like I like you're taking up a lot of space, right? So that's an example I had, and I knew like when she said that, I was like, nice, I got this, I know what to say. Like I instantly recognized the test, right? That's kind of fun. So yeah,
Yeah,
gotta be on the lookout. And I think it's
yeah,
most of the time it is obvious, because right, we're having a good time, no problems whatsoever, and then out of nowhere it's kind of random to say that, right? So a lot of the times it is like, if it's a bit random or like out of nowhere, it's probably a shit test.
yeah. It probably is. It probably is. And there is a principle in no, actually no. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's a test basically. Women are constantly trying to test our weaknesses, and that's what we have to do. We just have to not be as reactive as we want to. We have to not do what our impulse tells us to do, because at one stage we could get into a relationship, and like throughout the first few months, like in the next couple of months, the woman's arguing with us like we did something wrong. She's throwing stuff about and everything. And if we were to lose our cool as a masculine guy, that's gonna send signals to her that, oh, okay, he's like a woman basically. He's low testosterone or low status. No, not exactly low status, but he's not a guy who can handle emotions very well. Like he overreacts, and so it's very unattractive for a guy to be really like to be filled with emotion, like in a negative way. So if you're in a conversation with somebody, or like if you're a leader of a group and there's something that happened, there's something went wrong, and you're there like just like all like overreacting because of a particular problem, they're not going to have faith in you as a man. They're not going to have faith in you as a leader. And so you need to have better control of your emotions. And by practicing stoicism, that's how you're going to emulate more of a masculine type of energy, so that you don't overreact in situations like that. And so that you're well perceived as a masculine guy.
Yeah,
So that's what I think.
you gotta be cool, calm, and collected. And I've heard this lot of times, like from people who are perceived or high value, if you want to say so, right? They all say the same thing. Like when you argue with your girlfriend or just a woman, you don't scream. Like real men don't scream. They don't yell. They're
Mm,
completely calm and logical, not emotional, logical. And as soon as you like start yelling, raising your voice, like obviously you can be heated a little bit, raise your voice a bit, let them know you're serious, but you can't be screaming and yelling and stuff like that. That's just gonna make you seem like a just aggressive, low test male. I don't know how to say it, like a beta male, pretty much. It describes it pretty good, but it's kind of cringe to use those terms. But it does make you just feel like a aggressive beta male rather than a actual like high status, high value, calm, cool, collected, masculine man, I think.
yeah. It definitely does. Because overreacting and being an emotion, like having lots of emotion in terms of when you get into an argument, that those traits are associated with women. And so if a guy is displaying those type of character traits within himself, then he's going to perceived less as a man, and therefore people will start to take him less seriously. People, they won't respect him as a guy, And this is the thing, like when you get into group interactions, when you start to converse with people in a group and you start talking, you start sharing your ideas, unfortunately, people are going to cut in and they're going to ignore you because you have already portrayed a version of yourself that isn't well perceived by other people because of the way that you're acting, and you're acting like a low testosterone, low status man. And so, therefore, people aren't really gonna want to associate themselves with you because subconsciously you've portrayed yourself as a very weak man. And in society, as harsh as this sounds, people do not care about the weak. So in life, you have to you have to be a strong person, and you can't have a pity party for somebody who just just isn't willing to change or improve themselves in a way. So yeah.
Yeah.
So people do not care about weak people. You have to be a strong-willed guy in this lifetime if you want to succeed. So that's my take on it really.
Hmm. And another thing, like if you do react the right way, let's say you are in a heated argument and the girl is screaming at you, and if you just keep your calm and you're like stoic, and at the same time you show her that um, you are ready to walk away if you seem like indifferent in a kind of way, she's gonna end up being like, oh fuck, I fucked up, and she's gonna value you more, she's gonna find you more attractive, and she's gonna come running back to you because you handled it
Yeah.
like I'm a real man, right? But I think we've been talking a lot of about, I guess, romance dating. Do you have any questions you want to talk about?
Yeah, sure. So, if you were terminally ill, would you tell your family and friends, which would worry them, or would you rather suffer in silence to save others from worrying?
Hmm. So just to be clear, this is a situation where, let's say, the doctor tells you, okay, you got this type of cancer. We can try to fix it. We can prolong your lifespan, but eventually you're gonna die, and you have like, let's say, 3 to 5 years, right? That's the kind of situation we're in,
Yeah,
right? So I would,
yeah, yeah,
yeah. So I would take some time and deal with it alone. Make sure that when I'm ready to present it to my family and whatnot, that I am like stoic about it or like ready and I've found peace with it, then I would tell them. And I think depending on the like how long I have left, I would wait. I wouldn't just say it. Let's say I have 10 years left. I wouldn't make them worry about it for 10 years. I would maybe tell them when there's like 3 years left. So you still have some time to truly appreciate each other, say goodbye, but at the same time not like worry them for like a decade. So they have to like that's all they're gonna think about, and they're not gonna want to do anything without you and stuff. It's just gonna be like everybody else can't just hit pause on their life because you're dying, even though it is tragic. But you can't just do that. Yeah.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, so excuse me. So for me, I don't think I would tell anybody. I I don't want anybody to worry, and I don't want to be perceived as somebody who I don't want to I don't want to have to worry people like that. I don't want people to feel sorry for me kind of thing, like, oh, David's ill, you know. I don't want to have people to pity over me, and I don't want to be pitied over. So I want to live my life to the best. I want to live my life to the fullest potential that I possibly can, to the best quality of life that I can. And I wouldn't be able to live the best quality of my life when people are constantly worrying about me, because then I would see the emotion on their face. Like they'd be upset, they'd be overthinking, and yeah, I wouldn't want people to be in that state of suffering, like anguish almost, because they know that I'm about to die soon. And yeah, it would be very tempting to tell them that, hey, look, I've only got a month left or something like that. But again, it I wouldn't like to have somebody have to worry over me like that, because I don't like being pitied as a person, so
Yeah.
I wouldn't really tell anybody. Yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing. It would be kind of annoying, or like it wouldn't feel nice to be like everybody's gonna look at you like feel sorry for you. That's obviously also not like a nice feeling. That's just gonna demasculate you like crazy, right? Like everybody feeling like sorry
Yeah.
for you. But I do think I would like because if it was like I this actually is kind of what is that word um like it makes sense for me because I am in that kind of situation where right now with my uncle. So he basically had that message from the doctor, like he had 2 to 5 years left, and I do kind of
Oh, I'm
appreciate
sorry.
the fact that you can like now like okay, this is the time to really be present because we only have a few years left, right? So you would like rather be like now I know. So the next time he comes over or whatever, I'm not just gonna be on my phone. I'm not just gonna be in my room. I'm actually gonna like really be present. I think that's a good thing, and I do. I'm grateful for that I have the chance to really say goodbye and really enjoy like have quality time together before it's too late, right? Because I feel like if it's just like overnight, the person is just gone. It's a bit sad. You have maybe a lot of things you like regret not saying or regret saying, or you have maybe a lot of questions and stuff like that. And I think it's kind of nice to have a good like goodbye, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good to have that clarity and reassurance that you're gonna spend time with that person and you're gonna spend quality time as well. But in my opinion, I think that it would be better if people, I mean, from my personal, I mean, personally, I would think that if I was in that situation, I wouldn't really want people to know because they would change up their behavior. And people who haven't contacted me frequently, they would start to contact me all of a sudden. Like they will start to be more consistent with the contact that they have with David. And I wouldn't want a person to change up their personality or change up their decisions and actions based on what I'm going through, basically. And it just it would just tell me that they only care because I'm about to die soon, and they didn't care before that. So if a person has to change up their personality or change up the way that they act because somebody's about to die, then it just shows you that they somewhat didn't really care enough in the first place to, otherwise they would have done those things beforehand. So it's kind of like Mother's Day, basically. Everybody gives flowers on Mother's Day, and everybody respects their mum. They visit them, so on and stuff like that. But in my opinion, I think every day should be Mother's Day. Like we should all celebrate mothers in general, like especially with fathers as well. So we shouldn't have one specific day just to commemorate or to celebrate one particular person, because we should be doing that throughout our entire lives. We should be making people feel appreciated and valued, not just because we're hearing about the tragic news of somebody dying. We should be doing that consistently, like every day. So we shouldn't let circumstances and situations change the way that we treat people. We should be treating people with respect all the time, regardless of how long they've got to live.
Yeah, I mean I understand that. It is true, like it would feel kind of fake in a way, but at the same time I do feel like it's kind of like alcohol in a way. I think it just or like money too. It's like a what is that word? Like it's empowerment, or it just really shows the true like feelings, I think. Um, because they're like, oh shit, like this is a wake up call. Oh shit, like I haven't been reaching out as much as I would want to ideally and stuff like that. And also I feel like when you dying doesn't really happen to you per se. It really happens to everyone around you and not really you. So even though I would feel kind of bad about everybody feeling everybody feeling sorry for me and maybe have the feeling like they're only texting me because I'm dying or whatever. I would still want it just for their sake, so they, when I'm gone, everybody can feel like good about, okay, they did reach out, that did say goodbye to me, and they can maybe move on fast and like have like feel good about themselves instead of feeling like sorry and bad. Because at the end of the day, I'm gone. I couldn't really care less, right? There's nothing like I can do. So making sure everybody else around me feels better, I think, is important. But I do see like your viewpoint or stance. It does make sense. It's kind of, and that's also why I would like wait to like right up to me dying, right? I wouldn't say it just instantly. I would wait till the end, right? But still give them that chance to really reach out, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hard
Yeah, I
question.
see. Yeah, it's a hard question indeed. It is quite hard, bewildering to say the least, to think about. But yeah, I do get your viewpoint on that, but I don't necessarily agree with it, but I do get where you're coming from though on that.
Yeah.
I do, yeah, I get where you're coming from.
Oh.
So have you got an amazing question to ask Carl in
Oh,
this
I have a
podcast?
few. Don't have as many as you, I think, but I do have a few. Which one?
Yeah.
Okay, so we've been talking a lot about like dating and stuff like that. So I think I have two here that is pretty relevant. Um,
Oh,
the the first one is because this is highly like debated, and I know like Myron or Fit from Fresh and Fit. He's like famous almost or like known for saying like you gotta have 50 body counts or gotta have a body count at least 50 or something, and you gotta be 30 and stuff like that before you get married. So like, should you have a high body count before like pursuing a serious or eventually like a marriage? Should you have a high body count, like a lot of experience?
so I don't think it's entirely necessary to have a high body count before you get into a serious intimate relationship. But obviously, it is good to have that experience. It's good to have that knowledge and profundity on how to go about making love to a woman, putting it nicely. So yeah, I don't really think it's um, a requirement to have a high body count before you get into a relationship. Because like anything with life, like if you overdo something, too much of anything is bad. So the woman could perceive you as like a man whore, or maybe you just wouldn't really value the relationship because it will be like, oh, okay, it's just another woman who I'm, so on and so forth, I'm having sex with. But I don't think paying attention to something as insignificant as that is really worth your time and energy, to be honest with you. So yeah, I think just not focusing on that, just like not having that as your primary focus in general is, yeah, will be beneficial. It's not because at the end of the day, it's not a numbers game. It's not about how many women you can sleep with. It's about finding the one. It's about finding the one who can be your partner for life, who can bear your children, and who you can be happy with. So yeah. So and it's kind of like if you need a high body count to prove to a woman that, oh, okay, yeah, he's the man, he's the guy, he knows how to take care of me well, it's kind of like you need to carry it around like a trophy with you everywhere to validate the fact that you're good in bed. Like, hey, look at me, guys, look at me, like I'm really good at sex. Like, I need to carry around a certificate to tell the woman that I'm really good in bed. Like, you shouldn't need to have to do that. You shouldn't need to have to do that. So that's my viewpoint on it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a very like opposite stance on this, right? And that's not even because of religion, right? If you look at religion, obviously you're not supposed to even have sex before marriage, at least for some religions, at least, right? Um, I don't think it's a good thing, but I do understand where it comes from. I think the experiences and the knowledge or the kind of mindset you get from sleeping with a lot of different girls or having a lot of like experience.
Mm.
It gives you like confidence, like you know what you're doing, and it gives you the, I think the most important is like the abundance mindset, or the like the mentality to be kind of indifferent, not desperate, not clingy, all these kind of stuff. Because a lot of guys, if it's like the first girl they're ever dating seriously and they have no experience, they probably are going to be a bit clingy and a bit like desperate in a kind of way, and the girl will feel like, okay, he has nobody else if I drop him right now, so like he's trying to hang on. And obviously that's a good thing, like that's one of the benefits of having the experience. But I think if you can just learn to do, like, not to be clingy, not to be desperate, learn to be like confident and be ready to walk away, like not just settle for anything. If you have that mindset, you don't have to have a lot of experience. Yeah.
Mm.
So I feel like if you can learn that another way, I think it's much better. I do think that there is some kind of connection, some kind of soul tying or whatever you want to call it when you sleep with someone. So I don't think it's something you should look very lightly on. I don't think it's only physical. I think it does damage a lot of people. And also something else I heard Circa talk about, if you know him.
Say that again.
Circa, John Circa, do you know that guy?
I don't think so. No. So could you just give me some insights as to who he is and
Yeah,
also
so
your viewers?
he was talking to Sneeko. I think you know that guy,
Oh
right?
yeah, no, Nico.
Yeah.
Nico, yeah.
So Sneeko is like, he also has the standpoint on like you gotta sleep with a bunch of women and shit like that. And what Circuit basically said was, if you find a good girl and you're like a fuckboy or in your fuckboy face and you just treat her like another body on your body count, basically, she's gonna turn. She potentially is gonna turn into like a hoe, and then she's gonna ruin, like, you ruined her, so now she's gonna ruin 10 other guys, and then those 10 guys is gonna ruin like 100 girls, and then those 100 girls is gonna ruin like 1,000 guys, and you just ruined the whole community basically. So I don't think it's like a good thing. I definitely don't believe in casual sex. And yeah, I mean, I guess I am a bit rare, but so far, like, I feel like I've been able to not, like, I've been very, very selective with whom I date or give my attention. And I still think, like, I feel like I still have not the experience, but I have all the knowledge and the tools in my toolbox to still make it work very easily, very smoothly, without the experience. So I definitely don't feel like you need it. If you can just, like, I feel like you can learn it from someone else, like watching YouTube, like learning what to do, and at the same time, be yourself, because you can do too much of what you learn online. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. So my viewpoint on it is that if a guy needs to have loads of sex, like if he needs to sleep with 100 women, I think that's a confidence issue thing. Like he needs to validate his own self-worth by turning to external factors in life, like having a bunch of sex so that he can feel good about himself. And I don't. I mean, it might be healthier than drugs. It might be healthier than alcohol, but it's still an issue which needs to be encountered, which needs to be resolved. And so I feel like if a guy needs to do that, then he doesn't have much respect for himself in a way, because he's just treating women as another body count, as another number, as another person in their bed. And it's the high value men, in my opinion, which don't need a high body count to validate how masculine as a man they are, to validate that they're the man, they're the guy, and that they're good at relationships. It only takes a couple of relationships to be in to have that overall experience of how to treat a woman really well. So yeah, I would like to argue that I don't think it's even necessary to have this high body count, because again, it's kind of like you need to have like a trophy or a certificate to prove to people that you're certified, or that you can have sex, that you can have a bunch of sex. So I don't think it's necessary at all.
Something else too that I see, especially like Fresh and Fit and stuff, they preach the fact that you having experience, what the fuck? Okay. You having experience is gonna like turn her on, like knowing that you have a lot of experience and know, like, you knowing what you like are doing. But in reality, like if you find a good girl, she's gonna care almost as much about your body count that you actually care about hers. Like for example, the girl I found is a very good girl. She only had one boyfriend, didn't even sleep with him, and she's like she was also very like curious about my past, and she like every time I would speak about my past relationships or like girls I've talked to and stuff, she would be like not feel that good about it, and she didn't really like the fact that I had prior experience at all. So I do think for most girls who are actually like the girls I'm actually looking for, and a lot of guys say they are looking for like the more innocent type of girls, they actually also care. Like if your body count is high, that can be like a red flag for them
Hmm.
as well. So you got to think about that.
Yeah, and also it says a lot about you as a man if you do have a high body count, because if you're having a high body count, it just means that you don't really respect and value women. You just see them as objects. You just see them as sex slaves, and not sex slaves, but sex objects basically. And if you're a guy who has a high body count and you're going into a relationship with a girl who has full acknowledgement that you have a high body count, then what kind of woman are you going to be attracting? Is it going to be a high value woman who likes the fact that you've had a lot of body counts, or is it going to be a low no, is it going to be a high value woman? Yeah, or is it going to be a low value woman? So you kind of have to keep that in mind. Like, what type of woman are you going to be attracting in the relationship?
Hmm.
Because it's most likely going to be a low value woman who is into a guy who's had lots of sex because she's probably done the same thing herself,
Yeah.
and so you're going to be perfect for each other
Yeah.
if that's the case.
Yeah. I think we can agree with this.
Yeah.
I have
All
another
right.
one. This is a bit more a bit similar to this. So this is like the question: should you go full monk mode, which a lot of guys preach, or should you go get experience? And when I say experience, I don't mean like being with a bunch of girls, but like experience, like talking to them, cold approaching, these kind of stuff. Like just experience, just talking, dating, that kind of stuff. Or should you go for like full monk mode, only focus on yourself?
So could you just repeat that again, please, Carl?
Okay, so should you go? Because a lot of people preach that you should just ignore girls and just focus on yourself, full monk mode, just work, work, work. Or should you actually go out and get a bit of experience, like cold approaching or just talking with girls? Not necessarily like sleeping with a bunch of girls, but just getting to know girls, getting to know, like, learning the skills of like doing push pull or like flirting or teasing, these kind of things.
Hmm. So I do feel like you need to incorporate a bit of both. So obviously, monk mode is a very good and beneficial way of improving yourself as a guy, because you need to focus on your goals. You need to focus on making money and getting the good career so that you can provide a better life for your missus, for your women. Otherwise, if you don't focus on yourself as a man, you're going to go in life and you're going to be very lost, not having a purpose, not having a drive, or just not having something to strive for and have an ambition, basically. So I feel like you need to implement monk mode into your life for a short period of time, like let's say a couple of months, like 3, 6 months, or maybe a year or two, and then you can go out with having well with having that knowledge that you have learnt, and then you can go on to start cold approaching women, start getting into an intimate relationship once you have all of the basic needs and requirements of a man already met, like the money taken care of, career, you're making enough, and you have your ambition, you have your goals and purposes and dreams, you have that all sorted out. And now it's just time to find somebody to share that with, basically. You're going to find a high value woman. So you need to focus on yourself. You need to focus on developing yourself as a man who's on self improvement. You have to work on yourself, be a high value man in order to attract a high value woman. Otherwise, you're just going to settle for less, and you're going to attract someone who is low value, and you don't want that.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I do think
Yeah.
like doing one of the other like extremes are bad. Both. I don't feel like monk mode fully is super good because then you're gonna have guys being super successful, have a bunch of money, but have no fucking clue how to speak to a girl, and then they're probably gonna get like finessed by some like gold digger or something like that because they don't know like how to interact, and that's just they're gonna end up pushing away all the like actual good girls who are interested at first, and then they're just gonna find the girl that doesn't really care that you're awkward and shit, but she does just knows you have this good lifestyle and she wants to be a part of that. So it can be a bit difficult or dangerous to just focus only on yourself, because if you end up being super successful and you have no fucking skill or knowledge about girls, you can get fucked over very very easily. And at the same time, if you just go full like fuckboy, you're just gonna waste all your time chasing girls, and you're not gonna grow at all as a person. Another
Mm.
thing that I do kind of like, it is rare, I do know this, but now I gotta be a little bit careful. Obviously, my new relationship is kind of new, but I do kind of like the idea of you finding a girl, and it is possible to find a girl because the younger you are, this depends on your age, right? I'm only 20, she's 19, so in the future she would be attracted to the already established high value male, but right now she's attracted to a guy like me who has a lot of like future plans and a lot of aspirations and like dreams and goals. That is also like ambition is also very attractive to girls. So it is possible to find someone like before you blow up, before you go and become super successful. If you find someone who actually believes in you and you can grow with together, that's even better, I feel like. Because now, like, if that happens, let's say we become boyfriend girlfriend and we have a long-term relationship, when when I get up on the top and I'm successful, I know for sure I can rest, go to sleep feeling comfort in the fact that she was there before I had that, so I know she's here for me, not for like the material stuff and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I do. Yeah, that's. I see your viewpoint on that. I see your viewpoint.
But it is hard. It is rare, I think. It is a lot easier to attract someone once you're already there, of course.
Yeah, obviously, yeah, it is better to. It is obviously good to attract someone whilst you're already at that stage of your life. So it's hard. It's a hard one, really. It's really hard to think about that. But from my perspective, I would say that it's beneficial for you to work on yourself and to just become a better person before you actually get into a relationship. So if you're going into a relationship and you're awkward and you can't maintain proper eye contact, especially with your family members as well and with your friends, like if you can't talk properly, if you can't maintain proper eye contact and so on and so forth, that is gonna lead people or that's gonna make you have unsuccessful relationships. So you have to work through these things as a man. You need to sit and journal. Just sit in, as Hamza says, you need to sit in a room, completely dark and not dark, but just isolated in a room, and just think about all of your goals and aspirations and everything that you want to do, and just sit there with a pen and paper and think about all of the things that you need to improve on as well. Because we can get so confused and so, I suppose, yeah, we can get so confused and distracted with all of these things that are happening that we don't actually take into account that we need to improve as a person before we can actually start to get into a relationship. So that's my take on it.
Yeah. I think we can agree
Yeah.
like somewhere in the middle, right? So don't go full monk mode and just ignore the social skills altogether. Like you gotta have social
Yeah.
skills with you. That's a part of like self improvement as well, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you do.
And on the other
Yeah, because
side, you
that's how.
shouldn't just ignore like your growth and just only go for goals. That's also just not gonna be good.
No, no,
Yeah.
obviously not. No, because you wouldn't be compatible with anybody if you're. Yeah, because it's kind of like you have to sacrifice one thing or the other.
So you have a
Yeah.
question.
So I've got a question now. What role does mindfulness play in managing stress and promoting better mental health? Also, how can you implement that into your daily routine?
Hmm. So Um, a lot of guys think about only meditation and breath work and stuff like that, which is great. But something else you can do, a very easy way to implement these, like being mindful into your life, is when you're doing like mundane, boring tasks. A lot of people enjoy having a podcast in their ear or maybe some music, but what you can actually do, even though it seems like boring and it seems like useless to do, but have nothing, just have nothing in your ears, just be mindful on the task that is boring. Maybe it's like vacuuming or like doing the dishes or going for a walk, even like going for a walk into the woods with your headphones is a lot worse, like mindful wise, than if you just walk without anything, just listening to the sounds, enjoying the walk, being present. That's a way you can be more mindful without sitting down and devoting time to meditating, stuff like that. Just like being present in the moment rather than listening to something else. And yeah,
Yeah.
also something that happens when you do this is if you constantly like listen to music, podcasts, when you're doing boring shit like commuting back and forth to work and stuff like that, you won't really be able to think. And what will happen is you're gonna go to bed, and then that's the only time during the entire fucking day you will have only your mind and nothing else. And then you're gonna start thinking and overthinking, and you're not gonna go be able to fall asleep.
Yeah. Yeah. Your mind is going to be clouded with an accumulation of thoughts, and then you won't be able to think properly. You wouldn't get time to yourself without a moment where you're overthinking about something irrelevant and unnecessary. And the thing that I find with people that who are constantly overstimulated, they've got something in their ears, they are watching content, scrolling through TikTok, is when you get into a conversation with them, you find that they're not properly paying attention to you without their eyes darting about, or maybe, well, yeah, well, not their eyes darting about, because some people they just find that works better for them when they're in a conversation. They just don't maintain eye contact. But when you're in a conversation with somebody who is a overstimulated person, you find that they just you can tell, even if they are looking you in the eyes, you can tell that their mind is wandering off to another place and they're not fully paying attention to what you're saying. And so it's kind of disrespectful in a way, and it's kind of sad that we have the attention span of like a child or like a goldfish. So I think it would be beneficial if all of us in life, if every individual was to be more mindful and present in the moment and just start to be present of their surroundings instead of constantly having to have some type of distraction to get away from life, basically, to get away from the mundaneness of life. Because actually, if we start to embrace the mundaneness, like waiting in a queue for groceries, or waiting in a queue at the post office, or just waiting in traffic, if we can be truly mindful in those situations, then it would help us in other situations in life where we are required to pay more attention and focus. So, like, when you get into a conversation with somebody, you obviously want that person to pay attention to what you're saying. And if you can't do something as basic as that, then you're kind of failing yourself as a human being, because that is one basic essential thing that you can do as a person, which doesn't require much effort, is just pay attention to what people are saying. And if you can't even do that, then yeah, you're not really gonna have a good time in life, basically,
Mm.
because it's a primary skill that we all need to have. It's just paying attention and focus onto other people.
Yeah.
So
And I want to just quickly add, like, I'm definitely not perfect at this. Like, I love music and I love podcasts, and I only have like a certain amount of hours every day. So I do spend a lot of times, like when I'm walking, I do walk every day, and I do have music and podcasts, and I can
mm,
feel that, like, what I do then is I actually like take time out of my day to then meditate, which helps a lot, which is very effective. So if you like, when I go shopping, I listen to music. When I go to the gym, I listen to music. When I go for walks, I listen to music. But then I also take time out of my day to actually be like 100% present just on my breath, like doing breath work or listening to some kind of guided meditation. And I can very easily feel the difference between doing that and not doing that. So, for example, like I've catch myself a few times, even in this little podcast, like when I'm listening to you speak, like my mind start thinking about my response instead of actually just listening. That's another like
Yeah,
huge thing that happens. And like even when you're overstimulated, you can literally listen to music or podcast. Maybe you're listening to this podcast right now and you're thinking about something else, right? You can be so fucking overstimulated that you can listen to music and still have like some kind of thought going like down a rabbit hole, you know? So if that happens to you, you know, like it's about time to start meditating. It's about time to try to be present, because it's getting to a point where it's even grabbing like your thoughts are still overcoming what you're actually doing, kind of thing. I don't know how to explain it. And that's also, by the way, why a lot of people get shower thoughts, because when they're showering and when they're going to bed, those are the only two times they're actually like they're present and they don't listen to shit. And even then, people also listen to music when they shower. So yeah, it's a problem, man.
yeah. I think the more distractions that we eradicate and limit from our lives, the better we can be as listeners. And I think everyone has heard of this term right now. As you're watching this, I think you've all heard of this term. It's called dopamine detox, right? We've all heard of dopamine detox and the benefits of that. So I think if all of us were to be devoted and to do a little dopamine detox for like a week or two, you would actually see the benefits of that. You'd be able to focus more on conversations. You would be able to manage your emotions a whole lot better. And
Oops.
oops, yeah, it keeps falling. And yeah, so I think that's just a way that you can be more respectful, because it does get really annoying. You want to talk to somebody and they're not paying attention. They do this like doing a TikTok dance, or yeah, and all of that can be solved by limiting the amount of distractions that you have. So yeah, going on a dopamine detox and ridding yourself of all of the stimulating things which you were participating in the past, it can be a beneficial way to managing your dopamine levels so that it's at a normal level, to the point where you're not overly stimulated anymore. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and it's
yeah,
fucked.
I think that will tremendously.
Yeah, and you can easily go down like the rabbit hole. Like I've been doing like a few weeks of not gaming, not watching Netflix, only reading, meditating, like no stimulation other than like music and podcasts, I guess. And then then I fell back into like starting playing a little bit of games, and then it becomes you're playing a game on this screen and then watching a podcast on another screen or having music, and that's like double stimulation at the same time, right?
Yeah.
So you can just go from it's very easy to go from um or getting back to like your old habits. So it's yeah, kind of we talked about this just in another topic, but like making, or maybe I just made a video about it actually, but like when you're creating habits or trying to break bad habits, make sure that obviously you're not perfect, you're gonna have some slip ups, but make sure it's only one day. So if you're going to the gym and you skip one day, make sure it doesn't become two, because if it becomes two, it easily becomes three, then a week, then 2 weeks, and bam, you're out of it. Like maybe you even quit the gym altogether, right? So you gotta make sure like to know, don't beat yourself up. You're not perfect, but try to limit it to like one day. Don't do 2 days, because it can easily like um I don't know the word, but you know what I mean, right? Yeah, compound, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So have you got any questions, Carl?
I do. I do indeed. I have my notes here.
Yes.
Okay, so this is actually not even my question. This is something my dad told me I could like talk about, or we could talk about. Is
Okay.
his experience on YouTube is that everything is kind of like black and white. There's no in between. So why is everything on YouTube like so black and white?
Oh, that's actually a very good question. So, in terms of black and white, like what do you mean specifically? What does he mean specifically by that?
Just like that, there isn't really an in between, and I feel like this is what we do on this podcast. We are very good at finding like the in between. So we don't prescribe monk mode, and we don't prescribe like full degeneracy, like a fuckboy. We prescribe like focus on yourself, grow, but still pursue girls. So you have like that skill as well. So like typically on YouTube, it's never in the middle. It's always either like a good example is like politics. It's either like super like conservative or like super liberal. Like that's never like an in between. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. So, that's kind of a hard one. I feel like if it would be contradicting. I think that's one of the primary reasons of why it would be contradicting. So, let's say if I was to talk about the benefits of self-improvement, but then I was also talking about like how good it would be to start participating in all of the bad habits again, like watching porn, masturbating, going on TikTok and YouTube and all of those unnecessary, unhelpful things. If I was to talk about those things, then it would be like a massive a contradicting factor of the point that I'm trying to make. And yeah, it would be very hypocritical of me to say to say one thing and then I'm also implementing like another thing into it as well. So I feel like, in my opinion, it would be very contradictory to offer self-improvement advice, but then I'm talking about how you can also be a degenerate as well. So it'd be very conflicting. So conflicting beliefs is what you would most often find if YouTube was that way.
Hmm. I
So I
guess that
feel like it just categorizes things in a more simpler way to just focus on one thing rather than just two different things in a video, which would be confusing. But yeah.
yeah. I mean, I do kind of agree with that. Also, like I think it's mainly two things. The first one is like being polarizing. So the best way to become successful, at least on social media, is like to have a very strong stance. So you're gonna have a lot of people that love you, but also a lot of people that hate you, and that's kind of where like that's the sweet spot, right? You don't want everybody to like kind of like you, but nobody loves you and nobody hates you. You want to be like a guy where a lot of people fuck with you, but also a lot of people like hate you. That's kind of where you know you made it, right? And the other thing is kind of similar to what you said, that if it becomes kind of the gray zone, it's very hard to like this is called prevalent message. Like it's very easy. It's much easier to make it like black and white and super simple, because then everybody's gonna understand it. But then at the same time, I kind of dislike it because the world isn't black and white, so it's kind of like yeah, it's a bit of a difficult situation. I kind of try to be that in between where I explain something and give my like try to make it simple, but still trying to make it a bit nuanced so it isn't black and white. Because if it's black and white, a lot of people is gonna take the message and just run with it, and it's not gonna help them as much as it would if it was like the truth or like the gray zone, like the nuanced. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it because if you're trying to tell somebody to do something like eat healthily, but then you're also telling them to eat junk food, it's going to get quite contradicting, and then you wouldn't really be able to determine either one which one to do, which advice to take.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't like that perception of things being in black and I don't know, in black and white. I suppose it's a hard one. It's
Yeah,
a hard
the
one.
thing is, let's take the like eating healthy example, like fitness, right? So I could say, like, obviously, the ideal is you eat healthy. Like, ideally, eat perfect, only eat clean. But we're human, and we also gotta enjoy life, and a part of that is enjoying what we eat. So sometimes, every now and then, you can have a little snack here and there, where it's not ideal, it's not super healthy, but you can do that. But that's kind of in the gray zone, right? So then people is going to be a bit confused. So it's much easier to just say, cut out all junk food, only eat clean. But in reality, if you only, like, if you cut out every fucking junk food and you just cold turkey, like overnight, only eat clean, a lot of people are gonna like then fail, and because they aren't eating completely clean, now they're gonna feel bad about themselves, and they're gonna, rather than failing and failing and failing, they're gonna go back to the old diet, and that's gonna be much worse than if you tell them to try to be perfect, but of course know that they aren't perfect, so they are gonna fail here and there. But at the end of the day, it's about like the long term. It is gonna be better than if they just completely just ate junk food, right? So that's kind of what I mean.
Yeah, yeah, and I get your viewpoint on that. I get your viewpoint on that. Yeah, wholeheartedly. I understand that. Yeah.
Okay, so
So I have.
yeah, I
Yeah.
have I think I don't have that much time, but I think we should take one. And I know it's hard if you have a bunch you want to talk about, but try to pick your what you think is going to be the best question to like wrap it up, and we're going to talk about that.
Oh, okay. Right. I'm gonna see which one is the most beneficial one, which I could talk about. Um, let's see. Okay, so a lot of people are scared of this. A lot of guys in particular, they're scared of doing this particular action. So
Okay.
I kind of want this to be like a motivational thing for all guys who are watching this. So, what are the benefits of cold approaching women? Also, could you share your experiences of this, just
Okay.
to inspire some of the guys who are watching this out there?
Okay. So first the benefits.
Yeah, the benefits. Yeah.
Okay, so there's a lot of benefits, and this is also kind of ties into my other question. Like completely ignoring girls and just never speaking to them and going full monk mode is not good, because there is a lot of benefits to like self improvement that involves talking to girls, social skills, but also like dealing with anxiety if you have that. You obviously become more confident, even though if you get rejected 100 times, you start to become more confident. Then you start to be like kind of indifferent. You don't care as much, and it's just gonna be easier. You're gonna start looking at women, like understanding women, and you're gonna realize like it's just fucking human beings. It's like you it's just human beings. It's like other men, right? So you're gonna stop pedestalizing them. That's just so many benefits, but I think the best one is kind of you get so much more confident when you know you have the skill to talk to girls, and when you're just not afraid anymore to talk to girls. Like that's huge. I think that's very huge. So confidence is the best benefit. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, I would like to agree with that as well. I agree with that so much because I agree with that so much because a lot of guys that I speak to, I'm not condemning them, but they don't have the confidence to speak to women. They don't even have the confidence to ask them out, and that's a big thing to ask a girl out that you're interested in. And so the benefits of cold approaching women is that you just become much more, you become that 1% better than most guys because most guys are average and they wouldn't dare or dream of asking a girl out or even speaking to a girl, like having a normal conversation with a girl. They just rather hang about with their group of guy friends. So it just puts you in that top 1% category and it makes you better than most of the guys because you're confident, you're you're confident basically overall as a person, as a guy, if you're able to talk to women because that's a skill that not many guys have. It's just not it's not a thing that guys really do. So I think embracing that truly makes you more of a masculine guy because you're putting outside yourself outside of your comfort zone, and that's something which you have to do if you want to improve yourself. If you want to become more of a masculine guy, it's not by living life in your inside of your little bubble and inside of your little comfort zone or little area because as David Dana says in the book called The Way of the Superior Man, live life on the edge, live life outside of your comfort zone, live life on the edge.
Yeah.
So do things that make you feel uncomfortable. And talking to women is one of the most uncomfortable things, which makes you come outside of your comfort zone,
Yeah.
makes you more confident.
Yeah. It's like taking cold showers, but on fucking steroids, right? Like
Yeah,
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 it's super
yeah,
uncomfortable, and I'm nowhere near perfect at it yet. Yeah. Something else, just quickly. I gotta answer like what I have experienced myself, right, with cold approaching. But before that, what just happened when David talked? I realized, and this is from meditation, a good tool to have. I realized from my meditation, like I was starting to think about my answer instead of actually listening, right? So my thoughts start to go away, and what I just did was just breathe into my stomach, and then I was instantly back with David and listening to him, just with what we talked about earlier, right? With being present. So that's a good thing to do, good tool to have. Is just one deep breath in throughout like your nose, feel it in your belly, feel like the belly expanding, and then you're back. But to answer the question, right? Yeah, to answer the question, um, something I've realized is a lot of guys, at least this is my experience, is it's only really like very very attractive girls, like 8 and above. I get kind of nervous around, kind of struggle to talk with them, and I realized like when you don't really find a girl that attractive, it's very easy to just talk to them. And then what happens is they can feel that you're super confident, you're not scared at all, you're like very natural. Then they will like you more. And that's why a lot of like not bad looking girls, but like girls who are below you. Okay, this sounds really bad. How to explain this? Girls you don't,
average.
yeah, girls you don't really deem that attractive will oftentimes get like crushes on you because you kind of treat them like just a homie. Like you don't really give them that much attention. Like all of these things we talked about, like being a little bit more indifferent, not being clingy and stuff. That's attractive to girls. So girls you actually don't find attractive can feel this on you, and then they get attracted. Just something I wanted to say, but I think, hmm, just realize, like, I don't know, I don't have that much experience honestly because I'm very, again, very selective. So, and also I've been kind of um not brainwashed, but I've been told this with monk mode so much that I've just looked at a girl and I'm like, okay, she is attractive. Do I really want to date her? Like, wouldn't I rather just focus on myself? So I haven't done it that much, but from the experiences I have, like most of the time, it's only positive. I haven't had one bad experience at all. It's like you just realize, okay, we vibe or we don't vibe, and you also just realize, okay, she's human as well. And a lot of times when she actually reciprocates, like if she actually also thinks you're attractive and likes you, she is just as nervous as you are, if not more. And it's very easy to actually feel. Like I felt this so much on with the girl I'm currently dating. Like on the first and even the second date, she was so like shy and like super scared, right, and super nervous. And then it gave me kind of the feeling like I was suddenly on the pedestal, kind of like it gave me confidence to be like, are you scared of me? Like, calm down, don't be nervous. There's nothing to be nervous about and all this stuff. Yeah, just do it, man. Like they are just as scared as you are, and realize it's only humans. Like girls are also just humans. Yeah.
Yeah. So initially, before you got into this relationship with this girl, I'm sure there must have been some sort of situation where you were required to cold approach her, or did she approach you first? Like what happened with that? Like, if
Well,
that's something.
yeah. Well, basically, what I did was I was kind of just very very bored, and I did something I don't recommend doing, something really toxic and something very bad. I did was I downloaded Tinder just for fun, and then my plan was just to just see how many matches I would get and then just uninstall the app. But then I matched with a couple of girls and I thought, damn, they're actually like pretty hot, right? So I just DM'd them, tried like to practice my wrists, and found out I was the real like grizzly bear himself. and I
Ooh,
got a bunch
wow.
of. I actually got 6 out of 6 Instagrams that I used the same line on. Pretty bad, but it worked, you know. And then yeah,
Carl the
yeah.
listener.
But then I got like the Instagrams, and I just quickly realized like, okay, 5 of these girls were like kinda the standard Western girl. That wasn't really interested. Even though they're like good looking, I could just see on the profiles like these are like not anything I would be interested in like long term. So I just instantly unfollowed them and removed them from my like they couldn't follow me anymore. And then I started talking to one of the girls and found out she
Ooh,
was. I think I got really lucky now. Like I actually found a girl who's like, she wants to be a housewife. Like she wants to just be a mother, full time mother. She wants to support her man. Like pretty much what I want from my future wife is what she wants like to be, if that makes sense. And also she's
yeah.
like super wholesome. Uh, yeah, I think I gotta just be careful. I'm just trying to see how it goes, go with the flow, I guess. But I think she kind of has like very good potential to be something very serious. So I'm excited for that. Yeah,
Yeah. So she's the type of feminine woman which you truly want, basically, which you've been looking for a very long time.
she is basically
For quite,
like, she's like
yeah.
everything that people speak about when they talk about like a feminine woman, right? So yeah, I feel
Oh,
like I got so fucking lucky, like super lucky.
that's nice, man. So
Yeah,
you met your Anastasia.
yeah,
Yeah. That's really nice. I'm happy for you though, Carl. That's
yeah.
really
That's
nice,
sick.
man.
It's sick. She's going on a little bit of a trip with one of her friends, just like a 3 day trip, and then when she comes back, it's time for date number 3. But I mean, it's going
Ooh.
because we are like so similar, and she's like has the same feeling as I have with like I'm also kind of rare in the fact that I'm not degenerate and I have all the same kind of mindset. We share the same values, both Christian, all these kind of things, right? So it's moving
Mm.
very very fast, and obviously she was sleeping at my place 3 days ago, and
Ooh.
that was pretty sick. We're both a little like fun fact, we're both obsessed with Harry Potter, like so we just
Wow.
watch Harry Potter. Yeah, pretty fun.
Yeah, so you have shared interests. So you like two peas in a pod, basically. That's so
Yeah,
wholesome, though.
yeah,
I'm honestly so happy for you. I
yeah.
couldn't be happy. I couldn't be happier.
I
But
hope you found.
but
I
don't be
hope you
afraid.
find someone similar. I know it's pretty hard, probably in London, to find a somewhat good girl, right?
Yeah, well, I'm not currently in London at the moment. I'm in Derby, but yeah, the UK. It
Yeah,
is going to be a struggle. It's going to be a struggle, but David he's willing to take that high road in order
yeah,
to look for a girl. So yeah.
yeah.
But don't reveal any of your plans, Carl, for your third date because she might be watching this at the moment.
No, she's not. I haven't given her the channel, not yet. She knows what I'm doing, but I
Oh,
haven't given her the channel.
I
Yeah.
see. So eventually, what? So when are you planning to give her the channel?
I don't know
Like,
actually. I don't know. It's a bit weird, right? Because a lot of the things I want to talk about is like things that I'm not really interested in, like people close to me knowing, right? It's a much easier for me to be 100% me and give value if I know nobody like super close to me knows it, if that makes sense, right?
uh,
Yeah. So if I know like if my parents were watching and all my friends were watching, I know like my close friends does know about my channel, right? But if like everybody around me, like close to me, knew about my channel and were watching, a lot of things I would have to like kind of filter out, you know? And I don't want to do that. I want to be 100% like raw and real because that's the most valuable. So, yeah.
yeah. So you're going to be like a man of mystery. So she knows that you're doing something, but she doesn't know what it entirely is. So you're
Yeah.
going to be a man of mystery to her,
Yeah.
Carl, which is gonna make you more attractive to her.
For sure. Yeah.
So you're already doing well.
Yeah, yeah. It's going well, man. It's
Yeah.
fun. Yeah, I'm happy. I'm super happy about it. My main focus right now is just not to become too overexcited. But yeah,
Yeah. I'm happy for you though. I'm really happy.
thank you, man. It's gonna be good. I
Yeah,
hope you find something similar soon, if you want to, of course.
yeah.
Yeah,
I'm sure I will. I'm sure I will.
I think you will.
Yeah. Thanks, man. So, with my experiences with cold approaching, it was pretty awkward. I did get some awkward ones, and I also did some. I did get some. They were okay ones, average ones, I would say, where it was just like a normal conversation. I don't know if that's a good cold approach, just having a normal conversation. She's receptive, she's giggling, laughing. I don't know if that's considered a good cold approach, but
Mm.
there were a couple that I did have which went that way. And as you did say, I would like to agree with the point that you made where you said that it's much easier to talk to an average looking girl or someone who you don't deem as most attractive because it's less intimidating that way and it's less overwhelming. So let's say if you had to climb a mountain and someone said to you, you have to get all the way to the top and you don't and you're not a well experienced rock climber, that's going to be very overwhelming for you. But if you just said to them, okay, well we'll just climb like halfway, we'll climb for like 2 minutes or 5 minutes or so, that's going to be less overwhelming if you set a small task or goal to achieve at first, and then slowly and gradually progress onto achieving the big task. So what I did was is that I didn't necessarily speak to the attractive ones because that kind of felt overwhelming for me at first. So I spoke to the average looking girls, and that's how I developed my practice of talking to women is just not overwhelming yourself by talking to the drop dead gorgeous model types at first to begin with,
Yeah.
and then gradually you progress on to talking to those type of women, and then you know what to do in that situation. So yeah, so it went awkwardly at first, and then towards like gradually it got better. It got better.
Yeah, it's
So
similar to the gym what you just talked about. It's kind of like progressive overloading, right? Getting more plates
yeah,
on, like slowly getting stronger and
yeah,
stronger. It's kind of the same way, like starting out with the less attractive girls and then getting the more attractive. But it's kind of the thing that the reason why it's easy to like talk to girls you don't find as attractive is because you're kind of indifferent and you don't really care. Like if it doesn't go well, it doesn't go well. It's like whatever like you didn't really care that much to begin with. That's also gonna happen the more you practice this with like the very hot girls. Like the more you do it, the more you're gonna develop like the indifference kind of thing where and when you have that they can sense that they can feel that and that just makes it so much easier. Like she's gonna be more relaxed because if you're like super nervous anxious she's also gonna feel that. So yeah.
yeah. She is gonna sense that in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you don't want to go up to an attractive girl and have be awkward or just her sense that you're not really good or you're not a smooth talker with talking to attractive women. Yeah, because she's looking for a high status man. She's looking for a man who, yeah, she's just looking for a man of high status, not necessarily high status, but just a masculine guy. And if you emulate this shy, awkward persona, like you're not breathing properly while she's speaking, then yeah, it's gonna be a big turn off for her.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, it can really be boiled down, not really, but kind of be boiled down to one word, which is just like confidence. Being confident, that's like all she really cares about, and all you gotta like be. If you show you're confident and you don't give a shit really, like yeah, just being confident. That is like 80% really, like 80%. Doesn't really matter what the fuck you say, what the fuck you look like. If you're confident about it, you're gonna be smooth. Like yeah, it's gonna go well.
Yeah. You're gonna be sailing through. You're gonna be like, "Yep, I'm confident." She'd be like, "Damn,
Yeah,
I see you. I see you."
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, that's gonna be nice. So I have another question. So this kind of correlates to the main subjects that we're talking about, which is dating, but not really, but sort of somewhat. What is your social intelligence like, and how have you improved on this during your self-improvement journey?
Okay. So I said one more question, but we can do this quickly. I have 10 minutes, then I gotta go. But let's just quickly talk
Okay.
about this. This is a good question. So one of the things is like talking to, not just talking to girls, but just speaking to strangers. Something I did was just literally just like saying hello, like hey to everybody I walk past on my walks. Something you can do very low, like low low effort, high value thing to do, kind of. I don't know if that makes
Yeah.
sense. Like literally just saying what's up, hey. Then you can progressively overload that to hi, what's up. For me, I don't really do that because one, I don't really care, and two, it's kind of weird to do. I feel like saying hey is like normal with strangers you don't know, but asking them like how the day is a bit weird. Something you can do is like small talk with the cashier, like the guy when you're buying groceries, you have a bit of waiting time, him like scanning the barcodes and shit, you can kind of talk to them like busy day on like in the supermarket, whatever the fuck, just something, right? Um,
Mm.
just yeah, progressively overloading in everything in life is just the key, man. Just start small and just progressively overload. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's a
progressive overload.
yeah.
Yeah, that's the key. That's the key to consistency is just to keep practicing each time. And I was in a couple of situations. I I was quite bad at social intelligence when I was in secondary school, and that impacted me because I wasn't able to properly connect with people on a deep level. I wasn't able to properly establish connections and make friends properly because I didn't understand the common denominator, which was improving social skills and improving your social intelligence. And so when I would get into a conversation, I wouldn't really give people eye contact, and I I would be talking to a person, and sometimes I am guilty of this. I'll be talking to somebody, and I wouldn't really know when to end the conversation. So I'll keep going and going and going sometimes, and then they're looking around, they're looking on their phone, and they're looking quite bored and unamused, and I'll still keep talking. And yeah, sometimes I wouldn't really know in the past when to end a conversation. So I feel like failing more, like having more failures, is going to open you up to success because you're going to realize what you can rectify and what you can fix. So now, now having looked back on the past and what I failed on, yeah, not really having much social intelligence and social skills, which therefore made me have a lack of friends. It's made me watch all these YouTube videos on how to improve that, and therefore I slowly and I gradually progressed on it. I made notes on what I could do, like, just simple things like paying more eye contact, like looking away, one, two, three, look back, so on and so forth, and just implementing like being a good storyteller and making people think of the visuals like that you're speaking, like have a really just like to tell, yeah, just have really vivid descriptions, and that paints a picture in somebody's mind. And it's little things like that that can really make the biggest difference
Mm.
because it's something that correlates, it's something that is interconnected, it's having good social skills because ultimately it helps you to make more money as well because everything is all interconnected in life, and social skills I think is one of the most primary beneficial things which you need to navigate you through this journey of life and self-improvement.
Yeah, it's huge. And I think
Yeah.
what you talked about there, like the three most important things. Let's leave them with three important things. First one is being confident, like confidence. Second one is eye contact, kind of ties into it. If you show a lot of or use a lot of eye contact, that's gonna make you seem more confident. And the third one is like storytelling is super fucking powerful. Like story,
Mm.
if you're good at telling stories and you're confident and you have eye contact, that is amazing. That is like charisma 101, I guess you would call it, right?
Yeah.
That is super powerful. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
I think that's really good.
something else I thought about when you were talking, like the thing with like over talking, like keeping not knowing when to end the conversation. That's also ties into what we're talking about with girls, like texting, right? You always want to leave them on a high note. So make them laugh, make them giggle. That's when you say, okay, I gotta go to bed now. I gotta go to bed now, right? Leave them on a high note rather than letting the conversation die out and being all awkward and shit. Just doing that is super powerful. You can do that with everyone. Like when I go to the gym, I see some when I went to school with someone, we talk for a while, and before it becomes this awkward, boring, kind of dying out conversation, I'm like, all right, give him a fist bump, like, have a nice workout. I gotta go, like, hit the bench, whatever the fuck, right? That's super powerful.
Yeah.
Like to be the one to end the conversation on a and on doing it on a high note rather than when it's like dying out.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and also it makes you perceived as less needy in a way because if somebody's always having to end the conversation, it's kind of like, yeah, you don't know when to stop. So it makes you seem like a very needy person, like you need to keep having this conversation, you need to keep it going, the fire going, but someone needs to cut an end to it, and sometimes that person needs to be you to end the conversation
Yeah.
because yeah, it needs to be you sometimes. Just like you can't always expect people to go up to you, to talk to you. You need to make the action first. So you need to take the action and you need to make the first move. So
Mm.
in this case, you need to make the first move to end the conversation.
Yeah. And it's super
Yeah.
powerful. This is something I just naturally do that I noticed that is like super powerful. Like just ending like I've had a lot of people where also a text like I send like, okay, I'm tired, I gotta go to sleep now, or gotta do some work, gotta go to the gym, can't really talk, blah blah blah. Just ending the conversation on a high note. A lot of times you get like a response, oh no, no, please stay, like they get all like sad, quote unquote, right? And that's also kind of like a shit test. That's also a little bit of a shit test, like please stay, and like gotta um stay stay firm, like I gotta go, like I can't. Super super
Yeah.
good. Also like the opposite is true with what you say. Like you're saying like you seem needy when you keep it going. You also seem like you got shit to do, places to be, like you your man, like you're on a schedule, right? You got shit to do, and you become more like high status kind of way in their eyes. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So on that note, I'll let you go. I think that's a good way to conclude this podcast, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, as
we
about
did
that certain subject.
we did 1 hour and 57 minutes. A pretty good, pretty good length.
Oh,
Times goes
that
fast when you're having fun.
it definitely
Yeah,
does. And we'll have to get more guys on
yeah,
next week so that we have a more open discussion about these things.
yeah. I agree. It was nice
Yeah.
talking, man. Really nice talking, and I'm glad we got this podcast off. Even though we didn't do it yesterday, we got it today, so that's good. It's great, man.
Better late than never.
Nice talking to you, bro.
Nice talking to you, man. It's better late than never.
Peace
Peace.
out, man.
See you next week.